Okay, welcome back. I have finished turning the heel, and as you see, when you turn the heel, what happens is you get a diagonal line going up and your heel starts to curve in. Same on the other side. Here's my diagonal line, here's the curve. And once you got back to 26 stitches that you had on, you start making the cuff. Now I already went ahead with that, but I still have one row left to show you how to do the purl stitch, and then you go on and you decide on how long you want to make your cuff and keep going until you're done. I only have going to have a cuff that's no more than 16 rows, because I'm going to fold it over to make it a more solid cuff in itself. But if you like a longer cuff on your sock, you can keep going until you're done. So let me show you how to purl and knit. And I'm doing this in my last round, and then I'm going to show you how to cast off. Casting off is different when you start from the toe going up. I have tried different ways, came across only one way that seems to work relatively well, and I will share that in just a moment. But let's first start doing the cuff formation. If you want to do a cuff of some sort, I did one purl, two knit, one purl, two knit. You can just keep going in the knits if you like, but I still, and actually it doesn't matter. If you're going to turn your cuff down and sew it in place, you don't have to do a fancy stitch. If you want to keep the cuff up, make sure that at least 6 rows of your cuff is a variation of stitches in the knit and purl. Otherwise this is going to roll like so, and then it stays like that as you wear your sock, which might not be very comfortable if you're wearing tight pants. So how do we purl? My pattern here shows I have 2 knits to do, so let me do 2 knits. So this is my last row. After this row, I'm going to show how to cast off. You just keep going, pause the video, make your cuff, and then catch up with us again for the cast off. Now I have to do a purl. If you know how to purl, go ahead and make your cuff. If you don't know how to purl, this is how you go about it. You bring your string over and bring it over the front of your needle and let it rest in the back. Pick up your stitch. The string comes to the front, somewhat by itself, but with a little bit of help. Let it be in the front, do a yarn over, pull it through, and here's your purl stitch. I have to do 2 knits, 1 purl again, string over, pick up your stitch, yarn over, pull through. 2 knits. You can do a variation of 2 knit, 2 purl. You can do 3 purl, 1 knit. It's all up to you. String over the front, pick it up, yarn over, pull through. That's all it is. 2 knits, 1 purl, 1 knit, 2 knits. Now I shall make a confession. I did not count properly after I did my decreases, and I went from 26 stitches to 25. And I didn't know until I got the cuff mostly going, and I did not bother to undo it and fix it. In this particular case, it's not going to be a big deal because I'm going to turn the cuff over anyway. 1 purl, and it's not going to be that noticeable. If you're a perfectionist, you may want to take it all out up to here and do it over and undo 1 decrease so that you are back to having 26 stitches. Okay, so now we're going to decrease our stitches. I have to do 1 more. When we decrease, the easiest way to decrease our stitches is this, and I'll show you. And that's to knook, knook, like you did decreasing for your ankle, and pull through both, correct? And then you knook your next one and pull through. You knook your next one, pull through, and you can go all the way around. I have tried this with many different socks, each time again. And each time I did it, I had a nice edge here. And no matter how loose I had my string, how loosely I crocheted the final edge, it still tightened up. I then cut the string, tried to get my sock on, and I couldn't. So I had to come up with a different way of decreasing my stitches. And this is how I now do it. Crochet your first stitch, crochet your second, do a yarn over and pull through both. Crochet your next stitch, do a yarn over, pull through both. This actually is an actual crocheting stitch. It's a half crochet. And you do this all the way around. You don't have to be too tight, you don't have to be too loose, but you don't want to be that tight that when you take the red string out and you pull on your sock to see if this is still very giving, that you have to undo it, pick up all your stitches and then try again. So a semi-loose hand. You don't want it to look too floppy, sloppy either, right? Now, floppy, sloppy is not really a terminology, but I'm sure you know what I mean. And then when you're done, all you have to do is decide which way to fold your cuff over. My ball of yarn is starting to get all knotted. Here we go. And then sew the edge down, which I'll show you too, in case you've never sewn anything before. Don't feel bad if you haven't. That's quite alright. I'm almost at the end. How do I know? Because here it is. And I'm running out of stitches. So let me pull the bottom, let me pull the red string out to see how many stitches I still have left. And I have 2. You can already test now if you like. See how wide I can pull this? So that's what you want. In case you've forgotten, yarn over, yarn over, oops, pick them up, yarn over, pull through. Here's the last stitch is sitting a little tight. So what I do, I go like this, pull it up a little, so you can access it better. I'm going to pull out my red string, yarn over, both. See, we're done. Now to finish this off, go down into your sock. You can go, I wouldn't go down right here, because that's going to make a gap. Go into the following stitch, kind of go halfway through, yarn over and pull it through both. See how it flushes in nicely? One more yarn over and you're done. You're going to cut a length of string, yarn really. So there's my wool, it's gone. Pull this out. You can put your crochet hook away and you finished a pair of socks. Actually, not a pair, you finished a sock. For me, this is my second sock. Now I'm going to decide, how do I want my cuff to look? Do I want the cuff to fold in? And do I want it to look like that? Because that looks nice, it looks very tidy. Or do I want the cuff to sit on the outside? And that's alright as well. And with the other sock I have done, I actually have it on the outside. So I'm going to find a needle. And I'm using a pink needle, which is a plastic needle, safe for little children to use. You can also use your regular embroidery or darning needle, but they're smaller and the eye of the needle might not be quite big enough to get the thicker yarn in. And what you need to do now is you have to cast off this yarn and you want to keep the cuff in place. So you pick up a little stitch, and one of the stitches up here, you can do one or two, pull it through, and don't go yank, no, keep it very loose and relaxed, and you want to pull just enough that you can see where it went, but when you're done and you've gone all the way around, you don't want to really tell that you casted off your string. It's blending in with the work you've done. The other reason why you want to have a very loose hand in this is only because when the person who gets this sock has to put the sock on, and you sewed the edge down with a very tight stitch, this is not going to be very flexible anymore, it's going to be tight. And then they still cannot put the sock on, even after you cast off the edge really nicely and loosely. So you want to avoid that. You don't have to go each and every stitch either. You can skip one. And then go all the way around. Oops, that happens. Here we go. That happens too. The longer the string, the easier it's going to get tangled up, right? We all know that. Growing up, when we had to sew and we had a very long string, so we did not have to reattach another one, it was called the lazy man string, because we didn't want to do the extra work casting on and off. But then of course you also end up having it tangled if you don't watch what you're doing, as you can tell. So keep it loose. Now my socks that I have done so far are just plain and simple, nothing much to it in regards to imagination and stitch use and design use. I hope that after I finish this sock, I'll be doing some socks from the toe up with Fair Isle patterns or Nordic patterns. Those are fun to do. I don't think I have any of those socks lying around. I do have samples of those socks in my Knook Your Socks Off book. This book also has tips in what not to do and how to fix mishaps. I'll show you my book in just a minute. If you have a long way to go because you're making a bigger sock and your yarn is all tangled, all you have to go is go like that. It untwirls itself. And then you can go on again. I only have a little bit left. And I've gone all the way around. Now to cast off the string, you don't want to just snip it off and let it be. You want to work it away into your project. You can go up here. And go down the other side. You don't have to do it this way. You can do one little stitch at a time if you like, which is what I'm going to do because that one stitch I want to use is not cooperating. There we go. So you're not going to find it back. And if you like, stitch it through. Go in between this part of the sock and that part of the sock. Have it pop out over there. Don't pull it too tight. Get your scissors. And it's all gone. There's only one more thing left to do, which is turn your sock inside out. Because you still have this string sitting here. And you need to cast it off too. Put your hand inside the sock. And because this is a really well secured string, because it's the one that you started your slip knot with, you don't have to work it away into your sock too much because it's well attached. So this is enough. I'm taking my needle off. I'm gonna I cut this off, turn my sock back, and here we go. And here's the other one. So I have a pair of scissors, not a pair of scissors, I have a pair of slippers. It's a child size 11. If you want to make a bigger size, just add more from where you started at the toe and here, so make it longer, 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 and then do the heel, and turn the heel, do your cuff. You cannot make a longer heel and think, okay, that's how I can make a longer sock, because the heel is really not that long. I would advise against that. Instead, you would make this part of your foot longer, and then do your 7 centimeters of your heel. And we're all done. Here's my book that has all the how-tos on how to knock a sock. The things that can happen, like splitting your threads, dropping stitches, how do you pick those back up, and all kinds of other things. It's available on Amazon.com. I have a website, go to socklet.ca, or find me on Facebook, where it's also called Socklet. All the best, and connect with me if you've made a pair of socks. Show me when you've made a pair of socks, and I don't care to see you boast about what you've made, because it's very exciting. And if you have questions, feel free to ask as well. Thank you. Bye.